and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, I would take approval of the regular agenda, the one that was sitting on our desk.
So moved.
There's been a motion, there's a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Consent agenda. Any questions on that? Otherwise, I'd take a motion to approve.
So moved. Second.
There's a motion and a second on that. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Now to the good stuff.
Now to the good stuff. So, we're gonna recognize Patty Solheid and Jeff Smith for their years of service to the city. Recognize them for retiring and going to retire in 8 days and 52 minutes or something. So the first, here, I have a resolution from the City of New Prague, resolution number 22-01-18-01, recognizing Patricia J. Solheid. Whereas Patricia J. Solheid has faithfully served the City of New Prague and the New Prague Utilities Commission in the positions of Billing Clerk, Accounting Clerk, Administrative Services Coordinator, and Finance Director for the City of New Prague from November 5th, 1990 to January 28th, 2022. And whereas she has always effectively, conscientiously, and professionally represented the City of New Prague and the MPUC in a distinguished fashion, and whereas her efforts have been largely responsible for the excellent reputation, growth, and overall well-being of the City of New Prague and the MPUC. And whereas all the citizens of the City of New Prague have been the beneficiary of her efforts, talents, abilities for the past 31 plus years. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of New Prague, Minnesota, that this community and the City Council express and record their esteem and high appreciation of her character, dedication, and contributions which have earned her the respect and friendship of all who have had the pleasure of working with her, and be it further resolved that the City Council extend best wishes to Patty for many years of good health and happiness in her retirement. Adopted by the City Council of the City of New Prague on the 18th day of January 2022.
Speech. Are we gonna get a motion for that, to adopt this resolution?
Oh,
Okay,
so moved.
there's a motion made. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Congratulations. Okay, the second resolution, City of New Prague Resolution Number 22-01-18-02, recognizing Jeffrey A. Smith. Whereas Jeffrey A. Smith has faithfully served the City of New Prague and the New Prague Utilities Commission in the positions of apprentice lineman and journeyman lineman for the City of New Prague from October 7th, 2002 to January 7th, 2022. And whereas he has always effectively, conscientiously, and professionally represented the City of New Prague and the New Prague Utilities Commission in a distinguished fashion. And whereas his efforts have been largely responsible for the excellent reputation, growth, and overall well-being of the City of New Prague and the MPUC. And whereas all citizens of the City of New Prague have been the beneficiary of his efforts, talents, and abilities for almost 20 years. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of New Prague, Minnesota, that this community and City Council express and record their esteem and high appreciation of his character, dedication, and contributions, which have earned him respect and friendship of all who have had the pleasure of working with him. And be it further resolved that the that the city council extend best wishes to Jeff for many years of good health and happiness in his retirement. Adopted by the city council of the city of New Prague on the 18th day of January 2022. So I would take a motion to approve this.
I so move.
Bruce made the motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Maggie made the second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Congratulations. Did you want to get a picture?
No.
Oh. Jeff? You want to get one with his wife?
Congratulations. Thanks, Bruce. Good job.
Okay, the next thing on the agenda is the supporting of Scott County's continuation of the transportation sales tax.
Yes, so this was started out as a request from Scott County. Back in May of 2015, they voted 4-1 to add a 0.5% sales tax and a $20 vehicle excise tax to all sales. This raised the retail establishment sales tax to 6.875%, or from 6.875% to 7.375%. And then the vehicle tax remained 6.5%, but added a $20 excise tax on top of that. Now, when they passed this, it was originally supposed to run from October 1st of 2015 through December of 2022. So at the end of 2021, city staff was informed that the county board is considering extending this 0.5% sales tax another 10 years. The reason for it is they stated desires from stakeholders to finish out their original plan, because they've still got a few projects left, as well as to focus more on county highway projects and to fund a local transit service countywide. So, though it does not expire until the end of the year, they wanted to kind of get ahead of it, just in case for some reason it did move, then businesses would have ample opportunity to change how they're operating if need be. So they've requested that the city support countywide as to whether cities support the continuation of this 0.5% sales tax. I've included in the packet kind of what they sent me, as well as stuff that I found online, be it their original resolution and transportation plan, as well as the presentation that they sent us, kind of detailing what they foresee the projects being for the next 10 years should this continue. With transportation being a regional objective, and transportation services facilities really helping all citizens, not just those where they are specifically located, I would recommend passing of Resolution 22011803, which supports the continuation of this 0.5% sales tax. I'll take any questions if you have them.
So if our city or another city were to vote that down, are you saying the county commissioners would take that into consideration? And
I think that is the assumption that they made. The way it was presented to me is that they're trying to take everything into consideration. It looks like last time it was voted 4-1, and so clearly one of the county commissioners must have disagreed with going forward with this 0.5% sales tax. I mentioned it in the memo, but there is a public hearing for this on February 15th as well, here next month.
has there been any, there doesn't really seem to be anything that benefits New Prague directly. And that's my biggest issue with this whole thing.
And that is something that I expressed to the county transportation director when she first sent this over, that it's, if I could see one question coming out of my council, it would be that there's nothing directly in New Prague. And her response basically was that, well, we view these as countywide projects, and so even if there's not a project directly in New Prague, when New Prague residents go other places across the county, they will end up utilizing these services as well.
Can you, and maybe I missed it in here, it's not my favorite reading, but, for example, like number 5 and 6 on here, which are kind of the proposed 2022 to 32.
Are you on the presentation
Yeah,
slides?
yes, in the, with the map.
Yep.
That is, there's not a page number, but the proposed project map
Yep.
for the next 10 years. I mean, I see there's one, you know, in the Jordan interchange, number 5, it looks like is Jordan Avenue extension to 173rd. I'm not sure what that would entail, but number 6 is the 169 and the 282 interchange, but I thought that was all state funded, isn't it? Because I know they were gonna try to bypass that eventually and get rid of those lights.
It's,
They've done, but,
it's state, county, and because the county road on the other side.
okay, so that would be
It would be
the money
state,
would be.
city, and, yeah.
And I think in the presentation, they do mention that every time they do one of these projects, they try to pick projects they can leverage mostly state funds for. And so maybe that's one of those too, that, to do the whole upgrade, they need a little bit of county money in there too.
And is there a reason that isn't coming out of kind of the general fund? I mean, I know the state
Yeah.
legislature gave, and I know a lot of other counties jumped on the opportunity to do this, but I was never a fan of it, to be.
Yeah, I
honest,
guess
but-
It looks like double dealing. I had a problem with the whole thing because nothing that's gonna happen is gonna happen here in New Prague. And New Prague gets, singled out because we straddle, counties. I'm not gonna vote yes for it.
I guess my one question was, is, you know, Alton's been talked, or Alton, well, I guess Alton, Drexel, you know, that all being, I mean, that's not even in their 20-year plan.
Right,
And it's like, well, I would hope that they look at it, the town growing down here, that might be needed sooner than later, and, yeah. And I guess we haven't had the chance to express it to the county commissioner.
here's our chance.
And, I think we will. I mean, I wouldn't mind tabling this and then saying, you know, there's a lot of reservation down here. What I get, I don't know everybody, but, you know, what's gonna happen with that? Because I guess I look at Alton, yeah, Ken.
Yeah, so regarding Alton, that's continually in the transportation improvement plan for Scott County. They have not identified a specific year yet for that, as it's identified as developer-driven. Basically, when we have development adjacent to Alton Avenue, they will then include that in their transportation improvement plan at that point. So I think from that standpoint, it's hard for them to include that in a defined, you know, year, let's say, but, you know, I would hope within 10 years it would be a project that they would, you know, be funding for
Yeah.
that, but I think just the unknown of not having a defined time period is why they haven't included that, but it's still out there, they're aware of it, we have a memorandum of understanding between the county and, township, Helena Township and, New Prague, so, yeah, it's still there, but
Yeah, but why not put it on the map if you want the support?
I think they could.
Yeah, I do too.
I'd like to see us turn it down so they get the message and let
Yep,
them call
that's
us.
fine.
Let them call us and,
So I guess, one thing we could do is if you don't wanna necessarily support a resolution, I guess we could also pass a resolution directly not supporting it. And if, I mean, like I said, if you've got some ideas of what you would prefer to see or reasons why we're turning it down.
Why don't we just turn it down and call it even?
We do that too, I just didn't know if you wanted to necessarily send them a direct message with that as well.
I mean, that's pretty direct.
But I think we could state in there, go ahead,
I
Bruce.
just say my 2 cents, and, I support it, I acknowledge and probably agree with, some of the sentiment about there's no direct, dollar spent in the immediate city limits. But certainly any business in New Prague, or most businesses in New Prague, certainly any industrial business in New Prague are gonna be using access to major thoroughfares going through Belle Plaine, New Market, or towards Prior Lake or Shakopee. So most of our businesses and most of our commerce goes north, especially for EDA, economic development issues and things like that. So they have a direct benefit of the improvements in Scott County. There are some that go south towards Mankato, but I would guess a majority go north. So we have a direct line. My question on it is, some of the things that were identified in the previous 10-year project, I'm not sure if they're not thinking about them anymore. One of them that caught my eye was the number 13, the I-35 and 86 interchange. I thought that was interesting that they had that on their radar years ago, because there's no access to 35W there now. And if I'm understanding that point correctly, to think that they were thinking about that one time would be some benefit, I think. The other issue that's been talked about sometime in the past, and Ken, maybe you remember it, is at one time we were talking about a roundabout that the Red Wing, what I refer to as Mahone Motors there. And of course, we get involved in the politics between Twin Cities and Mankato State Highway Planning Departments, but we do have Red Wing, which is a county road.
Correct.
Which would also be, they'd be involved in that improvement, but I've never seen that identified anywhere. And
So once the turn lane improvement project happened out there a few years back,
yeah,
they then removed that from any future improvement.
but it wasn't even on their tenure or the previous.
Oh, you're
one.
talking previously?
Yeah,
No, it
or
never
now,
was.
or
You're
now
correct.
even.
You're correct.
So is that idea completely gone, that roundabout there?
I don't know that's completely gone. I know they've been monitoring the, accident rate and, other things out there at this point. And then obviously we had LeSueur County that had to include that in any of their future planning as well. But with the turn lane project, I think it got,
Okay.
taken off the immediate need list. Cause I don't know, Jim, if there's been continual accidents out there or not since that improvement, but.
There's been less, but, yeah, you're 100% correct. As soon as the state did the turn lanes, the state took it off as a priority, and so did the county.
Because they felt there was no need or safety issue?
That, they believe they addressed it with those turn lanes.
Okay.
And the actions that they took.
The other part, with the information provided, I'm not sure if I understand it correctly, but I would assume that almost every county in the state assesses this, some type of sales tax.
Yes, and so I went out, and I believe I included it in here, that list of every single county that has some
And
sort
there
of
are
sales
some that
tax.
only do 25
Yeah.
basis points versus 50, which I'm kind of surprised at, like Dakota County, why they wouldn't do 50.
Yeah, I guess I can't speak to why.
So I guess then I think about if we would say Scott County don't do 50, why would we be in a county that wouldn't do it? We'd be at a competitive disadvantage almost. From an economic standpoint, Scott County has a lot of people coming in from the outside with commerce, Shutterfly and Valley Fair and other things. And that's where you can catch a lot more sales tax from people coming in and buying versus the other way around. So it's less of a burden on our other taxes if we have a sales tax. So those are kind of my background on why I would support it. But I totally understand where you're coming from without seeing anything directly affecting New Prague.
Well, the other part is, I fully support it. I follow your line of thinking, and I'm not opposed to the project. What I don't like and what I've seen is the state legislature putting it on the local instead of, this was something that was always done, and then they start cutting road funding from their general budget and moving it around, and then they give the counties the ability to do this, and they almost handcuff them to the point that if they wanna get their county roads maintained, or their big projects like 169 and 282, that they have to come up with this. And when I think that really the bigger picture is the legislature, and they do it with the schools too, they push these unfunded mandates and then make the school boards be the bad guys that have to raise the property taxes. So it's more of a philosophical thing for me.
I don't have a good understanding of all that detail, but some of the road funds come from gas tax.
Gas tax, but
I
that's
think
controlled by the state
volatility
legislature.
of that income stream is part of the issue, I guess, with it, but yeah, I get it. It would have been nice if we had one of our commissioner come and present. But,
Well, we certainly could do that, or, I guess what's the council's?
Well, if we exercise, tabling it, I think, Mr. Mayor, if you make the motion, I'll second it, and we'll table this until we can have, the county come in and explain things a little better.
Yep, answer those questions. Would everybody be okay with that?
I'd rather send them the message that we turned it down, and then they can come in and see us, but
No, I'll take,
I can meet you guys halfway with that.
I'm in support of it, so I wouldn't vote except to support it.
Okay.
I'm also in support of it. And I have the same feelings too, that, you know, it seems that
I mean,
our town just doesn't get the benefit of some of the, even the transportation, like the Smart Link and that sort of thing.
Correct.
It's just not very, very prevalent here. And
That
that's
come out of
unfortunate.
this money? It does?
and
I think
then,
that's what I read anyway.
Yeah, I
Yep.
think it is.
And we do less and less and less of things from the county, you know what I mean, even the county roads how many county roads do we actually have anymore?
well, and Alton would be a county road. And then I think of the time, you know, like when we, I know of a situation where Chart wanted to move one of their big tanks, and the county, they wanted to move it on 2 and move it across to 13 because it costs them a bundle to come down Main Street. And the county turned them down. They said they had a bridge that needed to be upgraded. And Chart, according to the engineer, told me that they offered to pay for that upgrade because it was cheaper for them to pay for the upgrade than to, and they still turned them down. And it's like, okay, aren't we supposed to be working for the good of everybody? You know, yeah, you say, you know, we want that stuff, but, you know, we gotta be able to get products out of here too, so let's all work together, but so, I'll make a motion to table this until, county commissioner can speak to it at a future meeting. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Is, there any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed?
Opposed.
Okay, motion carries.
So I will, talk to them tomorrow and see if I can get a county commissioner on the docket here sooner than later.
Okay, next thing is accepting the public improvements of Deutschland first edition.
I believe we skipped D.
Huh? Oh, I'm sorry. Revision to resolution 21-12-20-06, authorizing transfer and closure of debt service funds.
Yes, we did this resolution at the last meeting. The numbers have just slightly changed with end of the year closings. And so, as I explained last time, this is moving, some debt service from unused funds now into the fund that will be paying the debt service. So, if there are any questions, I will be happy to answer them.
Any questions? Hearing none, I'd take a motion to approve this revised resolution.
I'll make a motion to approve the revision to Resolution 2101-2006, authorizing transfer and closure of debt service funds.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any other questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Okay, now we'll do the Deutschland first edition.
All right, so as we had at the last council meeting, we have a public improvement project for Deutschland First Edition that is ready for public acceptance here tonight by the council. We do have in this case, actually a cash deposit we are holding for the warranty period of 2 years, which will begin tonight and run for 2 years. And this was the little stub of First Street Southeast, south of Coburn's, that GTT Properties, Marv Deutsch is the person behind that, did complete largely in 2017, and then finished punch list items up here in 2021. So just looking for final acceptance and starting the warranty period on that project.
Okay. Any discussion, questions?
The motion that we approve the resolution.
There's been a motion to approve the resolution. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Okay, accepting, project Eastland phases 1A, 1B, and 2B.
All right, so this improvement was for the Eastland development south of the Coburn's grocery store. And there are 4 phases that make that up. So if you look at the last page of the memo, we have a air photo with some color-coded areas on there. This was developed with the first amendment to the developers agreement that they were going to approach the development in phases so that they didn't have so many lots just sitting vacant and empty. And they completed all but phase 2A, which is kind of the outline in orange there. And they did get most of that work done in 2021, but they did not get the final lift on that, so that's why we're not accepting that phase at this point, but everything else is completed. The one caveat that I have for the approval tonight is we have some minor revisions that they have to make to the as-bills before we will actually start the warranty period, but they should have those done in a day or two. So we would recommend that you approve the acceptance tonight, but on the resolution, it may not end up being the 18th day of January. It could take a couple of days here this week that they get those changes turned around. We're hoping to have them tonight. So that would be the one thing. I'd just change that whereas to warranty work completed, beginning with the acceptance of the city engineer for the as-bills.
Okay. Any questions? I have one on that phase 2A, that
Yep.
it looks like a wooded area. Is that for potential more development, or
Kind
is
of the
it?
north end there?
Yeah,
That's a big wetland complex.
oh, that's a wetland.
Yep, so
Okay,
that'll just remain wetland there.
okay,
So they have essentially completed the full build-out of what could be developed on that property, once they finish up that last.
Is that the
Second lift.
north end or the south end?
that'd be up towards Coburn's, that,
Yeah,
You're not talking this right here?
no, up here,
Oh,
up here.
closer to the roundabout, you're,
oh, I see.
yeah, it's all the wetland area there. Big outlot.
I'll make the motion to approve the resolution of 22/01/1806 with the
Acceptance of as-built.
acceptance of the
Yeah,
as-built.
contingent, make that last whereas contingent on the approval of the as-bills by the city engineer.
Okay, that sounds good.
I'll second.
Okay. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Okay, the next thing is update on purchase of 2 bypass lift station pumps.
Mayor, City Council, the reason for this update is the pumps approved at the last City Council meeting. The reason for this update is the pumps approved at the last City Council meeting, ended up being a lot longer wait time than anticipated. We originally were thinking we were gonna get them by April/May. Once we placed the order, that after the council meeting, they told us, the updated, was 22-week lead time, which would put us back into June at the earliest, and could be farther back than that, they said. That would not work for us because we have the snow thaw and spring rain, and that's when the bypass pumps would normally kick in, is in April. So we asked Minnesota Pump to look into it a little bit more and see what other options we have. They found the exactly same pump, but it's built with more options. That has a 3 to 4 week wait time. The options for these pumps on these pumps, they come with a cooling jack by metallic temperature sensor, a temperature sensor for upper and lower bearings. Again, these options are nothing that we absolutely need, but they would be nice to have. But again, we don't live off the nice to have things. It's not how we work. But when it comes to these pumps, we can get them in 3 to 4 week time. So we would have them in by the April when we need them. The price for these are $3,000 more a pump. So through Minnesota Pump, with the new pumps, with these options, would come up to be $65,913. Compared to our next bid was $110,772. So it is staff's recommendation to approve these new pumps. Again, we have $120,000 budget in the 2022 CIP'd. But again, it's staff recommendation to approve the pumps from Minnesota Pumps.
So how much difference is it?
$3,000 more a pump, the price too, yep.
Yeah, makes sense. Hate to say it, but.
Do they come with a warranty as well?
5-year warranty.
Okay, thank you.
I'll move that we go at the Minnesota Pump Works, estimate, 65.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to go with Minnesota Pump Works for $65,913. Any other questions or discussion? Otherwise, motion, or everybody in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Okay, industrial park expansion update.
Yes, the next update, kind of comes from the EDA. They wanted to let the city council know that, there's been talks the last couple meetings, about potentially building out the stubs for the industrial park, to kind of make what would be 4 corner lots, as well as prepare for the next phase of development. While no official decision's been made yet, they did ask staff to kind of look into it and see if we could get construction estimates on what this would cost. A big reason they wanted to update you all is if the estimates come back favorable, I guess, it's possible the EDA could want to move forward, but it would put their fund in the negative for a little while until they're able to sell a couple more lots, which shouldn't be a problem. We do have the money is generally available across the funds. It would just run that fund in the negative. And so Councilman Wolf, I guess, can fill in anything that he thinks that I missed, but this is kind of supposed to be an update for you guys to let us know that this is on the radar, that EDA is considering.
So we would still have an opportunity to discuss it once we get the bids.
Correct. So the EDA will get the bids.
I mean, it comes to council, not just EDA, right? If,
I believe so.
do they have the authority to spend their funds without?
That's what I'm trying to remember. It's different EDAs have different authorities. Now I'm trying to remember how, do you know off the top of your head?
I have to think that we'd have to have city council approval to overdraw the fund,
Okay.
if that's what.
Well, to overdraw, but I was thinking just even
But
to use
Just
your,
to use the funds, I'm not sure that you'd have to.
once we give you the 50,000 a year out of the general fund for the
Yeah.
EDA, I
I'm
think.
not sure either, because the economic development is actually an authority under state statute, so there's a little different rules with
And,
that.
and I can look that up and email you guys all out tomorrow with kind of where our charter sits with the EDA too.
Okay.
In the EDA update that was presented to the city council last year, this was discussed. We talked about why, oftentimes why does the EDA have so much money, or what appears to be so much money, but it's really for this specific purpose. So you see on the map, these roads would only go to the end or the north portion of these lots. So we're not talking about doing the roads in the whole map, just the
Right,
stub ends there. And this has been in the planning ever since the development was platted, so it's nothing new but we're coming to the point now where it makes more economic sense to do it. We might have potential sales that are contingent upon it. And plus, you may realize in the last few years, holding cash is really not necessarily a good thing. You're losing value in cash. And so the other thought is that it's best to spend the money now, as Josh said, better maybe to do that. And so this is really thought of to possibly coincide or piggyback or use the Columbus Avenue project, if I'm correct, staff, to try to piggyback that with the bidding. So to take advantage of that if there's an opportunity to bid it with it.
Sure.
So that's why EDA is talking and staff is looking at kind of trying to see if we can coordinate these two activities at the same time to get the bidding at the same time.
I would think it would make the lots a little bit more saleable too, maybe? I mean, with the stubs in?
I'm just curious, the pending sale in lot 2, would that be, are you guessing that's gonna be contingent, that it has to be done anyways, or?
I wouldn't necessarily think so. I think a particular person that this is referring to wants it.
Okay.
But if that sale doesn't occur, I don't know that the next person.
Okay.
There's not a bona fide purchase agreement or anything on it.
Not at this point, we'll hopefully have that sooner than later, but yeah.
But it does, correct me if I'm wrong, Ken, does it provide access to these, another access? Are they allowed to access on
Yes,
these?
they would be allowed access off the.
So there's a benefit to them.
Okay, that's what I was getting at, okay.
Okay. Anything else?
The only thing I want to note is that might want to update the city administrator name on the map.
Yeah.
It might be easier if he just keeps taking questions and I don't have
Well, what else were we gonna bring up? We were gonna bring up something at the end, was it the hiring?
Oh, yeah. So I'll start with Maggie. So, for miscellaneous.
Oh, sorry.
So, but if you wanna bring up Matt.
Yes, yeah. So,
Miscellaneous.
so we did, interview, Matt, and remind me how he pronounces his last name, Beshka?
Petchka.
Okay, for a seat on the park board. And in our discussions after the interview, we want to go ahead and offer him a seat on the park board, but we do need to, I believe, pass a resolution for that to happen?
Just
Or
a
no?
motion.
Just a motion.
Motion.
Yep.
All right, so I'll make a motion to seat Matthew Beshka on the park board, starting with our next park board meeting.
So moved.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, motion carried.
I don't know why I said resolution. Because that's all we've been doing tonight.
Do you have anything else, Maggie?
I do not.
Sean?
No.
The only question I have now, so I see Kobisha's done, the street's open,
Yes.
the central's open. Do we took action if things didn't go, do we have to take action to make sure
I
that
don't
that's?
believe we need to take any further action. I will double check that we don't need to take
Okay.
any action to
Undo.
Undo.
Jeez, but I believe, wave my hands too much. I believe we are good because they completed what they needed to do,
Okay,
but I'll double
I
check.
just wanna, make sure that the i's are dotted. That's all I had.
I think.
Matt? Jim? Bruce?
Get a chance, they started on our building down there.
Yep, saw that. Did they,
Hope to have that, they think because of those strong winds and the cold temperatures, they might have to back off here for a couple days. But it's their hope that they'll have that thing completely done by the end of next week.
so were there I saw semis there this morning in the dark, but did they have panels on them?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, they've set, all of the north wall is up and, they've set everything, all the planking on the mezzanine is in place. And so they'll start on the east and the south walls as they progress here, so.
cool.
It's going really good. I had a meeting with them today, so. Starting to catch up. They were behind our
Yeah.
schedule, so now it's starting to catch up a little bit, so.
Good. And the street light at Columbus and Fourth, I think, is out,
Okay.
I think. Seems dark there anyway. That's because I gotta get up so early to take somebody to school, but. Ken?
I have a quick temporary personnel item relating to our building official. So with Chad having his last day as our building official last week, we have, in order to continue doing our building permit review, we have to formally appoint a building official, even if it's temporary. So my recommendation at this point, while we have time to figure out what we're gonna do for the permanent replacement of our building officials, to at least temporarily move Scott Sass, our current building inspector, to building official. He has all the certifications to do that, so that we can continue to administer the building code. And I'm recommending that we have that start actually retroactive to today, when he would formally have taken that over, and then have him move temporarily until we can make a final appointment of who we're gonna have for that position, but move him to step one of grade 14 of that step on the pay scale, which would be a $2.45 an hour increase over what he's getting currently, because there's added workload in having that role for that temporary time period. So looking for your approval to do that. And how it plays out, obviously that'll be up to the council to make a final appointment for that position, but need to get this in place so that we don't lose the ability to issue permits, do inspections and all that, in the interim here, so.
Do you not have the authority to issue permits yourself?
Myself,
Right.
no, building officials are the only, people that are able to do that, and by law, they're certified by the state, have to have the credentials, and then we have to report that any change up to the state of Minnesota, and then they have to sign off on it. Yes, they have their certification, and they actually will come down and they'll verify that we are interpreting the building code and following the administration as required by statute as well, even for a temporary time period.
I'm not advocating or suggesting this, but alternative would be then to outsource it then? Is that?
Yeah, you would have to outsource to another firm, which,
And what you're saying, you just want a motion to appoint an interim,
until we get a permanent
I would make that motion.
building official, yes.
I got a quick question though before we vote. So, I know that we hired Scott, during the building phase of the senior high rise and all the other houses. Now that that's slowed, do we technically, can't we just make him building official and maybe not replace that secondary one?
So I don't know that he's gonna be interested in the posting is ending tomorrow, first of all.
Oh,
so
it
I
is,
don't-
okay.
I don't know that for fact, but
Okay.
at this point, our workload is still far busy enough to have 2 inspectors.
It is,
working
okay,
full-time.
all right. I just wanted to make sure, so.
I'll make a second to Bruce's motion.
All right, there's been a motion and a second to appoint, is it Scott Sass?
Scott Sask.
Yes. To temporary building official. Any questions? Otherwise, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Josh?
Okay, I
Oh,
got a few-
I'm sorry, Ken, were you done?
Nothing more.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Few things. One of the things that you all had talked about when I was hired was looking at the ambulance contract and whether we wanted to go out for a potential RFP. That we are about a little over a year out from that, and it looks like, looking back at the old notes, the ambulance services generally agreed that they'd like at least a year if there was gonna be any sort of change. And so I guess my question to you is, would you like me to put together an RFP to bring back at the next meeting, to kind of send out to see what other ambulance services might be able to offer the community? Or would we like to just kind of enter into renegotiations, with North Memorial?
Well, the last time this came up, it created quite a stir with,
I can't believe it's back already.
I know, with the Mayo Clinic Health System. So I think Bruce and Sean, you remember, we had a house full a couple of times, and a lot of people against one or the other for whatever their reasons were. So I think it's prudent to ensure that we are still getting, good service at a fair price. I am just have a little concern about going down that same path again with the conflict, but I guess that's part of being on city council.
And the louder we blow our horn on that one, the more bids we're gonna get in here. More vendors that are gonna wanna catch on.
Well, my personal opinion is I'm not sure that we need to open it up to more than the two vendors that we agreed that we were going to last time. And my recollection is we agreed that we would do it again, because there wasn't enough time to allow for a change to be made, if a change was decided to be made. So we agreed then to extend the existing contract or negotiate an extension of the contract to allow enough time to do this process. So I believe at least prior councils have made that's how it was left. So there is an understanding, certainly, in my mind, that I don't have a dog in the race necessarily, but from a EDA perspective, I certainly feel Mayo, being one of our major employers in New Prague, should have the opportunity to bid or at least make a presentation about it as they did before. And I have had personal and good service from North Memorial, so I don't have any qualms about them, but I do like to support the people that are in New Prague. So that's my perspective. So I really hope that we decide to go ahead with this process, because that's what I feel we agreed to do. And I totally understand the emotion of it.
So what do you need, a motion then to?
Yeah, if I could just get some, a motion as to whether, and it'll be just be me putting the RFP kind of together back for your guys' review at the next meeting.
Well, do we want him to, limit his, opening it up to just North and Mayo?
Yeah, because in RFP, we can pick who we want.
Let's do that. That way they both have to come in and explain themselves, show us new technology, whatever.
Who would the potential other
Alina,
partners or?
Alina, I could, or,
Ridgeview, Alina,
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
there are some others,
Northfield.
so. So I would take a motion,
So moved.
Limiting to two,
limiting to,
Knocking it down to
Mayo and
two.
North.
Yep, and I will check on that process to make sure we're 100% good to go that way, as well as bring back the proposed RFP, I guess, that we'll send to both